We at Acore believe that policy reform is essential in demonstrating and executing a long-term federal commitment to providing support for carbon-free electricity generation. Electricity generation creates negative externalities that affect the health and well-being of humans and other organisms. It is time for these negative externalities to be paid for by the polluters and not the American people. We propose a carbon pricing system in order to force polluters to pay the true price for energy production. This can occur in two different forms: a cap-and-trade system or a carbon tax. A cap-and-trade system works by establishing a total amount of allowable emissions using science as well as economics. Permits are created and each one equals a predetermined allowable amount of pollution. The number of permits must be compatible with the total amount of allowable emissions, while satisfying demand and not creating surplus. If a power plant emits more than what is allowable given the number of permits it possesses, it can buy permits from another plant that has polluted less than the allowable amount and has unused credits for sale. The result is the ability to control the total amount of emissions while letting the free market generate revenue for the government. A carbon tax is considered to be a comparatively more simple approach to carbon pricing. The amount of fees a power plant pays is proportional to the amount of emissions it produces. Companies must make a choice: reduce emissions and pay less, or continue on and pay the true price of polluting. In addition to carbon pricing, we would like you to consider long-term tax incentives for renewable energy technologies. Fossil fuels have enjoyed long-term tax breaks, while renewables have been subject to constantly changing short-term plans. Longer-term incentives would increase investment in renewable energy, therefore driving down the cost of production and the cost to consumers. The renewable energy sector has been growing rapidly. With more certain conditions and more investment, it will continue to grow into the future. There are currently about 44 different energy tax incentives in effect. This system is inefficient and does not produce the maximum economic benefit. We urge you to consider technology-neutral tax incentives. This approach would simply give tax incentives based on how low the producer's emissions are, regardless of the technology used in production. This would benefit all producers that are striving toward clean energy, while pushing those who are not already to follow in order to achieve financial gain. Overall, there are several policy reforms that can be implemented by themselves or in combination with one another. Please consider these options in order to spur economic growth and to better the state of our planet.